Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SC2L. I am Jeff, in control Robinson, of course. And tonight, we're joined by Sean, Day 9 Plot, also known as, well, I just said it. It's Day 9. Day 9, how you doing, buddy?
Also known as Strider Doom from
That's
WGG
right.
2005 days. And I'm so excited because, Axiom and Acer teamed up together in Korea, had a joint training house, had a joint team, and now they're playing against each other in SC2L.
Yeah, and I've actually seen, I believe, Total Biscuit post around saying that they train quite a bit extensively with each other, and they know each other very well. I heard, don't take this too far, obviously, but I heard someone say that Hart in practice almost or did never lose to Scarlet. They're actually battling today, so of course this is where it actually matters, not just in practice. But little things like that make me pretty excited about this, because whenever two players know each other, there's always a little bit of fun mind gaming and crazy builds going on, or just one player thinks they're the better one and they just try to muscle them out with mechanics.
Yeah, and who doesn't love the mind games, right, Jeff? Especially me. One thing really cool about tonight's matchup is, of course, Grubby playing for Team Axiom. He is not part of Team Axiom. He is just in a partnership with them because Axiom itself is fairly low on players. It's a very tiny, intimate little team, so he'll be joining them tonight. And, of course, no mirror matchups anywhere in sight. Not a single one.
Well, I'll be damned. That's nice. A lot of Zerg, a lot of Protoss, but we do have MMA playing tonight as well as Ryung and Hart, so of course those Terran representatives will be out there. Sorry about the slight delay, ladies and gentlemen. We had a little bit of tech issues, but those are ironed out now. We're ready to go. And I do want to talk about a few announcements before we get this broadcast going, but we'll get right into the games to get the good stuff flowing here pretty soon. First and foremost, this is the last broadcast of this week, but this Sunday we actually have a double header. So at 10 a.m. PDT, which is, and I'm about to do this, I'm going to bust this on you guys because I know this. It's actually, that is 20 o'clock CET. Boom. There you go for my European friends out there. I'm pretty sure anyways. That might have changed with time zones and all that crap. But anyways, the A for effort. We'll be doing our first broadcast. It's a double EG, double header. There are two EG matches. One's against Team Liquid, I believe. And the other one I want to say is against Acer. I don't have it off the top of my head, but if you are on Team Liquid, you can see under that future broadcast spoiler, it says right there. But also if you go to sc2l.gg, the website, that has our full schedules ahead of us. But I just want to give you guys a little bit of a prompt. They're by themselves, which is going to be really nice, and it's at a really European friendly time this Sunday, as well as 1 p.m. PDT, which is just 3 hours after that. And I believe it's Root Nathanius that's commentating with myself on those games, so that'll be fun.
And dude, I'm definitely excited for EGTL. That is going to be a great match. A
little bit of a rivalry. And I actually don't have the draw in front of me, but I've seen it because I helped kind of pick out the draw, and it's a good one. I mean, I couldn't see it going any other way. It's, of course, always going to be fun. But then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we wouldn't have this tournament if we didn't have the D-Link sponsorship. They are our title sponsor. And today, if you go through that banner, you click on the D-Link link through the website, sc2l.gg, you can buy yourself a gaming router. It's $200. Of course, by going through that link, $10 of that purchase will go towards the overall prize pool for the SC2L. And then you'll also get $6 off, but also, and perhaps more importantly, you'll be showing D-Link that esports is responsive to these kind of initiations and to this partnership, because D-Link is not really that actively involved in esports. This is kind of a first, or one of the first efforts, and if we can show them that, hey, we are responsive and we're supportive, and maybe they'll continue to support and participate. I actually have it plugged in at home, and I can tell you that, in particular, the wireless connection and what it does for your wireless is absolutely phenomenal, which is really important because my cell reception's really crappy in my apartment, so I need the internet to send those tweets out when my internet does go down to let people know I'm not dead. So that's really important. Well, I mean, when the actual direct connection. Anyways, I'm getting too technical on myself again. And then, of course, what it helps for your gaming rig as well is it just helps monitor and adjust where the information is flowing, and it kind of allows you, like, if you're playing in a game, it prioritizes that stream so that you're not getting bogged down or delayed by, like let's say, a brother or sister's download. You can actually muscle your way through that, or a Windows update, which is probably more common. So the bottom line is that this is a high-end product. If you're looking to upgrade, this is where you want to go. If you have, just the inkling to give it a shot, you should definitely try it out because it is for a good cause as well. That's what I got for those things. One last mention here too, and I'll probably mention this at the end of the broadcast before we get into the games. I promise you, and I will let Sean talk, guys. Don't worry. This is my spiel. This is what I do. Anyways, go to eg.ebaycharity.gg. I know that's kind of a mouthful, but basically you go to eBay through that link. Well, it takes you to a splash page anyways. And there's a few ways that you can actually contribute to another initiation that we're doing, and that is that we're partnered with eBay to try and raise money for a charity, which is actually a really cool thing. So all you have to do is either list stuff, add gadgets, or even bid on auction items, which would be the third and final option. You could actually potentially spend $0 and actually contribute to this. eBay will donate money for every one of your listings, but also everything you add in terms of the add gadgets. And of course, if you do want to actually bid on some pretty cool items like a Team EG signed Death Adder, then you can go ahead and make a bid on that. And if you win it, not only is your contribution going to a charity, but you'll get yourself a pretty cool mouse. So those are the things that are going on right now. That's it for the spiel. Let's talk about this match as we get into the game really quick. Sean, what do you think about these pairings we got here?
Oh, yeah. And, of course, I just want to follow up on that. Love that with the eBay charity. The money you spend goes to charity, and, of course, the money you spend on the D-Link router also goes to the prize pool. The more that, if you just have any interest and you get the router, prize pool goes up. Yeah. Talking about this matchup, of course, want to remind you, in the format, each team is allowed to send out one player twice. So we incidentally see MMA and Alicia pairing up against one another in matches 5 and 6. But I think match 1 is an interesting one because almost everyone would say Crank straight up going to be the obvious favorite against Paranoid, but I definitely think that Zerg vs. Protoss has had a lot of really interesting shifts lately. I mean, the Mutalisk being absolutely terrifying, but I think more importantly, the fast Hive tech for the fast Viper has been really biting a lot of Protosses.
Yeah, Newkirk Precinct is an interesting map because it definitely, it used to be, I think this is the newer version, so it's not as bad as the older one, but even during MLG Dallas, we saw some like hour and 20-minute long games on this map because it just really promotes splitting the map and playing passive. That's the stronger game style there. But you bring up a really good point, Sean, because some of those like early Viper plays in the ZVP matchup, Mutalisk, of course, being able to get through that, because there's a gigantic space between the two main bases where if you do have Mutalisk, they can travel safely back and forth through there, really only needing to worry about Phoenix, which is pretty natural. But the point being that they can get there undetected for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of fun that way.
And it's also really threatening with those early Warp Prism drops. Just plopping one down and force fielding the ramp has become popular suddenly, even though there's no reason it shouldn't have been popular the whole time. It's super effective. I think we should hop into the game because, honestly, this is one of my favorite maps in the entire map pool.
I'm really liking it.
Old Newkirk Precinct was terrible. New Newkirk Precinct TE has so many more attack paths, just so much more openness to it. It becomes just a very, very aggressive, very, very low econ sort of play map.
One of the things I like about it too, Sean, is that they actually shrunk down the main base, which for me is really nice because I feel like that's almost a nod towards selfishly Protoss. I felt like when it had that gigantic main base. Anyways, Terran players would be, it was like a giant helipad, basically. They're like, you know what, let's just go drop the crap out of that. Both the smaller main base, the Photon Overcharge, and even just your Stalkers, they kind of go further in preventing those medevacs from doing so much damage.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly the sort of thing that I think will help Protoss players manage against those Mutalisk harassments, and of course, Zergs manage against the War Prisms. Yeah. Game has started. Let's introduce our players in the bottom right-hand corner from Team Acer. An excellent Zerg, but perhaps not well known as his teammates.
Yeah.
Trying to make a good show today. It's Paranoid. Clap, 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 clap. And spawning down in bottom left. Ooh, going for an early expand, sort of the non-norm nowadays. It is the ever-infamous Axiom Crank.
Crank, the team captain of Axiom. He's a man that wears different hats. I know that Total Biscuit kind of commented on his last WCS run where actually Crank was defeated. Did he make it the top 16? I feel like he didn't, right? He had a terribly tough group.
No, I think he went from Robusto to Busto, doing very, very well in the initial WCS America, and then not doing so well here. He narrowly managed to qualify against Huck, so he's just kind of chilling in top 16. But I mean, it was not the Crank that I think a lot of people were expecting to see, because Crank, well known for having really cool play. I mean, especially his Phoenixes in PvP, so famous, and then went for like 2-11 probe fast double stalker rushes in a row, just like as cheesy as cheese can be.
Actually, his PvP tends to go in that route. He's one of those guys that when he finds a really cool build that's kind of under the radar, he's very comfortable in exploiting that. I've had personal experience with that at MLG. He was doing the 10-gate, 4-gate back in Wings of Liberty. That was a lot of fun. Psych, it wasn't fun at all. It sucked ass. But anyways. What I was going to say, though, is that
days.
Tobisk was talking about how he wears different hats. He's the captain of the team. He's kind of like already taken on to a certain degree that father hen, I feel. Like, I don't spend time in the house, so I don't know. They could very well be like, in control, you're completely wrong. But my what I get from this is that he's like the father hen of the Axiom house. So it's kind of cool when you see him play. There's a little bit of leadership there.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that all this sort of things are going to contribute to sort of how we're seeing his playstyle evolve in the mix. I mean, especially when considering that he's not doing the modern gateway first opening, which really seems to be the norm in this matchup. Very rarely, actually, are we seeing this sort of ultra-fast expo. But Paranoid looks like he's doing the appropriate response. I think that a lot of people don't give Paranoid enough credit because he was one of the top players in Poland under the ID Gosia. Won WCG 2009 for Poland, was on Mouse Sports briefly. But, I mean, has been on Acer for quite a long time.
Yeah. And with Bly and Scarlet, he flies under the radar, I would say.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it's totally unfair. It's totally just an unjustified, sad existence.
Energy, my bad.
Oh yeah. Actually, now that you think of it, now that you mention it, like every single Zerg on Acer is extremely notable, perhaps with the exception of Paranoid, but that's only just because of that relative comparison.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually was a teammate of his in Brood War. He was on Tempest of Twilight as well. And he was always kind of like a quiet, a little bit of an eccentric guy, but very, very good at Brood War. His mechanics were amazing. He was able to produce just boatloads of units. And that sounds kind of a cheapened way to put that, but he's just very mechanically sound. And in StarCraft 2, I almost got that sense that he, like, maybe became more of a student or has a part-time job. Like, I don't want to make excuses for him, but he fell a little bit off the radar, not just because he's not like a huge personality, but also because his results weren't up to the task. Like, you just fired off a WCG championship. Like, and Poland, by the way, was one of the toughest countries to win anything in, and he was able to do it.
Oh God, this is you're bordering on pulling me into reminiscing about Brood War. And then there was Draco, another champion in a long line of champions whose names I cannot pronounce. Although I did learn how to pronounce Mana's name, so I'm very, very pleased with that.
Well, then I feel like you've mastered it. Like, that name, I look at that and it just, my eyes glass over and I go, well, I'll never even try it. Whatever. Gregor.
Okay, well, Paranoid's doing the very standard gas timing. You know, Jeff, from your experience as Protoss, you know, we see Crank going for not a terribly fast robo. That's pretty late robo. I mean, ordinarily that's finishing up by like 6:30, but here it's just getting close to being done now. Oh, never mind, with those 5 gateways going down, it's definitely going to be Warp Prism, yeah.
Exactly, and you know, to your point, you actually bring up a really good point. Our understanding of the robo used to be that you had to throw it down at like 4:45, or Grubby would, you know, famously put it down at like 4:30. Just ridiculous times, because we were trying to jumpstart the fastest Immortal push we could possibly do. Like, just ridiculously fast Immortal pushes where they'd be at the base by 9 minutes, just super fast. But in Heart of the Swarm, that still is still there. Like, there's players that do feature the Immortal shove, but what's becoming more common is actually this Warp Prism play, where if you can get up that ramp and force field it, great. If not, with the extra little boost and speed in your Warp Prism, you could just pick off Queens with Zealots. It's kind of up to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a nice, gentle way to apply pressure and also to secure a third. So we're going to see Crank. He's loading his stuff up. He's getting the Twilight Council. You can already see there's all these pieces to the puzzle that are sort of, you know, getting mixed together. Transitions coming up. It's also very hard to spot. It's not like wandering in on a Dark Shrine and you think, oh my god, I have to get detection. You're going to go in there, you're going to see gateways, you're going to see a robo facility, you're going to see it building stuff, and you're not really going to stress that much.
No. The robo's like super standard, like you said. Just observers would be a cause enough for the robo. But he's actually going to warp in some Zealots beforehand. This is going to drag him over here to the third. We actually saw this kind of a timing attack in his last PvZ on Daybreak, the last clan war. But it's really a distraction. He's going to get some drone kills, but he's already at that ramp. There's not enough stuff up here. Oh, never mind. A spawning of roaches is going to spoil this.
Oh my god, spawning the roaches, immediately doing some significant damage. Crank is actually not going to commit yet to force fielding the ramp. He's just going to be doing some lifting and loading. Paranoid just had those pop out at just the right time, but here's going to come up the force field at the front. The Zealots at the third are still being annoying with harassment. And of course, back home, Crank getting +2, getting more Immortals, doing all the transitioning that he needs.
And I love the fluidity of this build. Like, through nice micro, even with those roaches popping out, he's still force fielding the ramp, or has the option to. He's getting some drone kills in here, and he's just essentially doing damage. And Sean, as you pointed out, back at home, things are business as usual. So this is not an all-in by any means. This is more just like a, you will fall apart to my multitasking, and if not, I'm probably ahead anyways.
Well, Paranoid's done a pretty dang good job staying alive at this point.
Yeah.
And has the drone lead, has lost 15 workers, but is still at 55. Has 20 roaches, has speed coming up, has almost has +1 coming up. I mean, just looking really, really crisp. And right now, Crank back home is just going Blink Immortal. So this is a very even game at this point in time.
Yeah.
The big thing for Paranoid is that he needs to throw down those gases and get a Hydra in fast, or get a Spire fast. Some form of transition needs to come up out of him.
Ask and you shall receive, Sean. There is that Spire. And what do you think about this choice? I mean, he will have to back this up with more gases. That's not going to be for Corruptors. His Lings are seeing that there's no third. Do you like the Spire here?
It's kind of hard because it's like the follow-up timings for Crank are so fast. Normally you need the Immortals to be able to pull this off, and that's all it's been building in the backside. So it's going to just be a follow-up push with a whole bunch of Sentries and Immortals, and I think it's going to be striking a little bit too early.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot of Blink Stalkers out already.
Yeah, the task is definitely at hand for Paranoid. He needs to repel that attack. I agree with you 100%. There should be no Nexus behind this. The Spire is scouted, and in fact, yes, Crank's going to go ahead and lock himself in with the second cannon. This is a 2-base push. With that Warp Prism out on the map, there's no need necessarily to bring a Pro for pylons. Usually it's kind of a nice backup option. Crank's going to trim that off here, though. And with the Roaches out here, do they have speed? I didn't see.
Oh my god, he didn't research speed.
No, they don't. I don't think they do. I think you're right. I'm going to verify.
Oh,
yeah,
he's getting Burrow. Oh, God, I can't believe he messed that. Oh, I mean, that's such a standard in the midst of a tense tournament thing to do, but this is just going to be disaster mode for Paranoid.
This is the worst time to have this army show up. He doesn't have speed. He doesn't have the mutas out just now. Good force field's going down. Crank, actually, I don't know that I want to call these good force fields. They were quite expensive in the sense that there's so many going to trap in those roaches, but because they're slow roaches, I still feel like the muscle mass of Crank is to be respected. I feel like his army is the more powerful one.
How many force fields does he have left? Maybe 6, 7? Yeah. There's 3 going down. I don't know if he has that many more left. He's trying to get through the time warp. Paranoid's working his way forward. It's 127 to 100. It looks like those Immortals, per usual, are doing their sickening amounts of damage.
Doing a lot, but one went down, Sean. The second one's moments away from dying. Okay, they did die. That being said, we have a... Well, okay, here come more roaches. You know what? I gotta say it. I feel like it's an error that he doesn't have the speed. Okay, there it is. Yeah, you're not gonna upgrade that during battle on purpose. Yeah. And the blink forward, I don't know. That's it, GG. And unfortunately, the critical mistake of not... I mean, here's the thing, Sean. Like, with all those force fields that went down to make that gigantic biodome that, like, trapped in 5 roaches, I feel like that would have been a situation where if these roaches had speed, maybe in that instance, it's like a fatal mistake that those force fields were so off the mark.
That's one of those mistakes that just haunts you because, you know, in practice, your questions are always... You know, when do I get my macro hat? When do I get my geysers? I gotta remember to do larva injects. It's never, should I get speed or not?
Yep.
I mean, you know that the instant that layer's done, you just throw down the speed. But that's one of the great benefits of that Warp Prism harassment.
Yeah, and just to go off of your comment. Yeah. I mean, one of the things... Exactly, actually. So many good points there. But the first one that you made that I really like is that even if you know you're going to go Spire, you're like, well, I'm not really making roaches. I'm just making them defensively. You still get speed anyways because it's not that expensive of an upgrade, but more importantly, if you're going to make any kind of roaches defensively or offensively, you want them to have that speed upgrade. It makes a huge difference. But Sean, you touched on a really, really good point. What was that last thing you said? 'Cause it just blanked on me.
Well, I mean...
it was something good. It was good.
Oh, all you remembered was the feeling, man. It was that that's one of the great benefits of Warp Prism play.
Yes!
Is that...
No, the Warp Prism play made him forget that. That's what I wanted to say. I feel like you're correct on that. Like all that chaos and the multitasking, those are the kinds of things that happen when you're doing that kind of harass, I feel.
Oh yeah, and I mean there's the in-game direct damage of picking off drones and isolating roaches and sniping queens, but there's always that psychological damage of him forgetting something really important, and those opportunities always crop up a lot more often. Yeah,
he played, I want to say it was either Happy Zerg or some Zerg. I want to say it was Na'Vi, Axiom's first win, or their only match they played. And he did this exact same timing, and the real-time damage we saw in that game was the 6 Zealots that in this game killed like a few drones, but mostly got washed away by roaches. They actually killed like 18 drones, and then the Warp Prism did 0 damage. But because he killed 18 drones, that equalized. So that's what I really like about this timing attack, is that Crank, with that Warp Prism, very easily challenges you on the multitask level. And we see these little mistakes that these Zergs have that end up being fatal flaws. You can't do that against a player like Crank.
So that means now Axiom leads 1-0, and coming up next is a match I'm personally super excited for: Heart versus Scarlet.
It's going to be on Star Station. I can't wait either. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, it'll be that ZVT, so don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.